But if you build a game by yourself, you already show a level of mastery and commitment to the form.
Sorry, fishies. Sorry. Today is April 26th already, Sunday, 7:58 in the morning. My name is Mr. V, aka Jeffrey Vieira, and this is The Bored State. I don't know what episode it is. It doesn't matter. Who I join with? Who are you, sir?
Jack.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing, man?
Good. What the hell is this league? Okay, pinging a message.
Okay, great. How was the weather in Nanakuli this morning?
Looks like the gods are pissed off at me for some odd reason, but other than that, good. It looks like gonna rain with a partly cloudy chance of military occupation.
Right. But rain is usually a blessing, right? So the gods would be happy with you.
But it storms, so right. Usually it takes like 2 days for it to calm down.
Okay, all right. Well, this isn't the Weather Channel. So we are a weekly... Yeah, we've been pretty consistent, actually. We've been doing this every Sunday now without fail. Right on. Awesome.
Thank you, Corona.
Yeah. And we are a weekly show on gaming news, primarily independent gaming news, with an emphasis on tabletop design. And we showcase articles that stood out to us on the interwebs on the previous week. So our first article is a follow-up to last week's article by Tom's Guide. And this is really interesting that it came up too, because this was literally posted 7 days ago, which serendipitously, it was 7 days? Yeah, it was 7 days ago that we recorded our last episode. And in that episode, it was a Tom's Guide to Discord? No, what was it?
It was no person's guide to Roll20.
Oh, you're right. Thank you. Yes. So we covered Tom's Guide to Roll20, and during that you're like, all right, if we do Roll20, we got to do Tabletop Simulator next week. And then sure enough, the guys from Tom's Guide heard us, right? And they posted this article. So our first article is how to use Tabletop Simulator to play almost any board game online. Your thoughts, sir?
Well, one, if you haven't tried Tabletop Simulator and gained like an inch to find board games, this is the best option you could find online, honestly. And it could be, and even if you're a game developer, it will allow you to actually test out games. It's basically a sandbox of anything you want to make. And a lot of the mechanics are complex, and a lot of it is janky at first. But once you get it down, like, it only took me 3 hours to get most of the mechanics down. So yeah, it's a very easy going system, high, and it easily goes up as much as you want it. And even if you're like building a video game, it allows you to like code in new commands and stuff like that. So the other types of games, like for example X-Wing or Magic the Gathering, will be less of a hassle to import in. You don't have to build a deck, you could build it inside the board, inside the game. But yeah, overall, buy the game.
Yeah, Tabletop Simulator does many things. I'm floored by what's allowed in Tabletop Simulator. How companies like Fantasy Flight and, frankly, all these other big publishing games, Asmodee and whatnot, allow user-generated content to exist in Tabletop Simulator. And I think that's really where its strengths are in user-generated content. So Tabletop Simulator is a tabletop simulator that allows you to play tabletop games through the client, with a group of friends. And you have the published, quote-unquote, version of the game where the publisher will release content on Tabletop Simulator. And then you have the community's versions of these games. And these are scanned in, these assets are scanned in and created and then imported into the simulator so that players can play it. That really blows me away. And there's everything from Blood Rage to Warhammer to X-Wing to Magic the Gathering. We actually got a chance to play Magic the Gathering on there. And I mean, just everything tabletop. There's war simulation stuff, everything on there. And yeah, I'm blown away for what you get for $20, right? Or you can do the $60 version, which is what I did, and you get 4 licenses that you can give out. I really, really, really think this is a needed tool for our self-isolation. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Cool, right? Yeah.
You just gotten louder, out of nowhere.
Wow. The forces of nature.
I'm just... Okay. Shoots, okay.
All right, so that is Tom's Guide, how to use table. So, I'm sorry, hold on. Before we move on, so that was about Tabletop Simulator. And Tom's Guide is just a really quick walkthrough on how to get started, where to buy it, and then a brief overview of the system itself with links and whatnot. Really short and sweet and right to the point. All right, moving on. So that was Tom's Guide, how to use Tabletop Simulator to play almost any board game online. All right, the next article is by Gamma Sutra, and we tend to post a lot of Gamma Sutra articles because they are awesome. And the title is An Anatomy of a Failed Kickstarter by Rafael Vasquez. Jack, what do you think about this?
Two things comes in mind way off the back.
Mm-hmm.
One is it's being honest, and a lot of game developers who will eventually have to face this fact that, how do I get funding? If it ain't through Kickstarter, then how else?
Mm-hmm.
How do I sell my game? So, and it's honestly bringing up, very much good points into the reason why you should go on Kickstarter and how you could be more successful on it. But another thing is that I saw an article over the internet a couple of days ago talking about new Kickstarter is going 35% decline.
No, they're laying off 30. They're laying off people.
Yeah, they're laying off. So I mean, it's not to say that this article is not gonna be helpful, because those other organizations like Kickstarter that will basically replace them if they continue to go down this track record. For example, I think there's I forgot its name, it starts with C, but it's basically gaining more traction as the other means of basically selling your game. I wish I remember its name. But yeah, other than that, I say is this article, even though it's talking about Kickstarter, its weight will be felt throughout the industry as time goes on, as more things happen and as more Kickstarter-like opportunities will occur for game developers. But
to speak a little bit to that article, outside of this article, that was by The Verge, and it is Kickstarter plans layoffs after new projects on the side drop off by 35%. And so Kickstarter has 140 employees. I'm sorry. So conversations are now starting with Kickstarter's union organizers about potential layoffs. 60% of Kickstarter's 140 employees are unit members, and they successfully voted to unionize in February this year, making them the first major technology company to do so, which is very, very cool. There's been a lot of talk about IT companies forming unions and things like that. But yeah, they are potentially going to lay off a number of people in their workforce, like a lot of businesses are now doing because of this crisis that we're in. Now, back to the article, The Anatomy of a Failed Kickstarter. Yeah, you basically explained it perfectly. This is not really an anatomy of a failed Kickstarter, but he really breaks down why Kickstarter, right? He goes into, his, what is the markers that you should hit when trying to create a Kickstarter. So let me just share something with you now. Where's my phone? I don't know where my phone is. But I think I've backed maybe a little over 800 Kickstarters in the last 6 years.
Oh, you crud.
Yeah, I've slowed down. I myself have slowed down. I think I've only backed 2 Kickstarters really in the last month, which is Frosthaven and Ankh, the new Eric Lang game. But I mean, I used to back multiple Kickstarters per week. Any board game that was released, I would just back it on Kickstarter. So I'm saying this, not because I'm trying to show off like I back all these Kickstarters, but because I've lived through a lot of the Kickstarter process, right? And I have a pretty good idea as well as how the process works. And I've also been to 2 Tabletop Network events by the Tabletop Network Foundation, and I've spoken to a lot of designers that use Kickstarters and the pros and cons to it. And Kickstarter is a really powerful medium, and this article goes through at length, really, what goes into that process, from marketing to creating trailers to demos, just really an overview game plan. One more thing to call out about this article, what I really love is that his name is Raphael, goes into it in the section on constraints. He says, before I begin with Kickstarter strategy proper, there's a few things you need to know. First off, I can't art at all. The running joke in my office is that everything I draw looks like a chicken nugget. Right on, there's another person out there that makes games that can't draw. I totally identify with that. I totally wish that I could draw. So that would be one of my three wishes, man. Seriously, that'd be one of my 3 wishes.
Are you serious?
Oh, hands, dude! If I could draw, I would just become a hermit and do nothing but draw all day long. I would like stop working, stop playing games, like divorce my wife, not eat anymore, and just draw all day long. Anyway, we're not recording this, right? She's totally not going to be able to hear this, right? All right. Let's move on. So that is the anatomy of a failed Kickstarter.
Here comes the divorce papers. Dun, 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 dun.
Well said, Jack. Well said. That's so funny. So that Vader march, dun 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 dun, dun, right, used to be my ex-girlfriend's ringtone. So when she would call me, that would be the sound. So whenever I would watch, I've been married for a long time, like 16 years or something like that. So my ex-girlfriend was like post 16 years ago when I was a big Star Wars fan. So whenever the Star Wars movies would, I would watch a Star Wars movie and I would hear that song when like Vader's walking out or whatever, or the Empire, that Empire theme song, I would feel like oh, that woman, I hate her so much. Okay, anyway, moving on to the next article, and this is
1 sec, I want to do something.
Okay.
I'm gonna play it? You say 16 ago, yeah? So that means 50? You're 50, yeah?
Yes, I'm 50 years old. That's exactly right. Okay.
God.
All right. Yes. Okay. So this is by DailyLobel.com, and this is and I know another Animal Crossing article, and it's not quite indie, but I think it's worth mentioning. So UNM students find comfort in the Animal Crossing video game. Your thoughts on this, Jack?
Yes, it is not indie. Yes, it's not board games. But it has another thing that we always think about, which is change and in a positive manner. And so let's not put anything into it. Animal Crossing, no matter what you think about it, if you think it's a bad game or if you think it's a great game, you gotta admit it has produced that positive change by its community, by letting people in and growing it, even though this crisis has been happening. You also gotta admit the amount of support the devs have been pushing for this game is probably commendable, especially during this time where not that many devs who is under a publisher actually care. Not saying that they don't care about gaming, it's just that most of the time they're following dictates from the publisher, and the publisher ain't really in it for the care, he's in it for the money. But yeah, students finding new ways to cope. I know for a fact that in Onakudi, well, as a means of going around, because we are not having commencement, that we're trying to find digital means. So I suggested, how about we do it from a Minecraft perspective? Have the commencement doing it on Minecraft or something of that sort, to at least bring more fun into it or bring more creativity into it. And the fact that Animal Crossing is doing that with this is pretty much on point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well said, sir. I'm just going to read right from the article, 1, 2, 3 paragraphs. It'll just take a couple of minutes, but it's worth mentioning because I want people to hear this. And it begins, and this is by Alex McCausland, and it begins, at first it might be hard to understand its appeal. Fishing, pulling weeds, and building furniture aren't exactly the type of video game features you want to expect to pay for $60. But for UNM students who have had their normal routines ripped out from under them, Animal Crossing provides an escape from their anxiety and confinement. Christopher Holden, a UNM professor who teaches classes about linking game design with community, said that most of the appeal of life simulation games is that they offer players a world where they have total control. In the same way that kids play house and create these little microcosms on their own, I think having this little space of something that's a little bit like life that you can kind of craft and cultivate is just a deeply satisfying thing for people, Holden said. And especially in times where you don't have a lot of control over the actual external events in your life. Holden said that Animal Crossing's lack of set goals may also provide some relief from the rigidity of adult life. So for students that still have to take tests and turn in assignments during the quarantine, the game is a good way to unwind. There's an emotional sense of gratification. It's like that first sip of hot chocolate on a cold morning. That's how I feel every time I finish 4 hours of destroying my islands to make waterfalls. I concur 1 bazillion %. My wife has been playing this, and I've been extremely busy, but I've been watching her play continuously, and I just started playing myself, and yeah, it's a fantastic meditative process that I enjoy dearly. And you're dead on about the update. So they just pushed out a really big update, would introduce new characters and some minor fixes in terms of the economy. But they're on it, man. And there's a lot of because it's Nintendo, there's a lot of nods to older Nintendo games. So like one of the wallpapers is the Mike Tyson Punch-Out crowd, and yeah, it's really, really cool. Okay.
Nice.
Anything else on this?
I just love the inclusion of real world items the more and more. So I don't know if for example, that mask in the picture was in the game before,
Yeah.
or like that clock. I mean, I'm remembering back when I saw it before, so yeah.
Awesome. So that is the dailyglobal.com. UNM students find comfort in Animal Crossing video game. All right, next one. This is a deep one. So simulation games teaching disaster management by the Post. This is monroecopost.com. Jack, what do you think about this one?
Um, I honestly say, yeah, like I play a lot of simulations, like war simulations and sandbox simulations. I also play a lot of like city management simulations, and honestly, I never really thought of like it being a tool to understand disaster management. I always thought of it as like a event that the devs put in to make it more creative, make it more understandable. For example, a noble one that I play a lot or used to play a lot was Tropical 5. And so the whole thing is that you're a leader on a Caribbean island and you need to manage all the resources on that island. What cause like tornadoes, hurricanes, and stuff like that will happen, and then you now need to either save your community or watch it all burn down. And a lot of people like to watch the entire island burn down when that happens. So I see it as like a double-edged sword because as much as you want to portray disasters as like the real thing, you don't want to minimize it, you know? You don't want to minimize the severity of it, like how Tropical sometimes does, like how several of these war gaming strategy games sometimes does, as like to a common event. So if you make a simulation just on that, I think it would be a great game. But if you're keeping eyeing it on to like as the event factor or making it randomness, then it may just be minimizing the overall impact of like a storm that will happen IRL. But
Okay, yeah, cool. Right from the article, situations such as the coronavirus pandemic have heightened interest in disaster management and mitigation, obviously. At Rochester Institute of Technology, research has created 2 serious games that could be used as learning tools for solving these world problems. RIT professor students at the National Science Foundation funded college students from across this country develop GIS, or Graphical Information Systems, games for disaster resilient research. The games aims to teach general audiences, emergency managers, and first responders about spatial thinking skills and how they can help communities withstand and recover from disasters. And he goes on to say, there's a lack of spatial thinking in emergency practice right now, even though it can be really useful for identifying vulnerable populations, moving people to safe locations, and learning how disasters impact areas. Yes, absolutely. And then a little bit about GIS type of games, or the GIS and systems in general. It just, as a definition, it is just a framework for what's the way to say it? Gathering and managing and analyzing data. So it's all based on the science of geography and actual data. So a lot of what we did with Huli back in the day is very, very where our game began. And I don't like to use this podcast as like a marketing voice for our games, but I'm just saying, when we were beginning the first version of the game, which was the first meetings in the game, we were actually looking at creating Huli using real data from the islands. So taking data, putting it through an engine or a system, and then having that data be made manifest in a gaming space that players could interact with. So I have a deep interest in GIS stuff like this, And this project here really stood out to me as kind of like how our game Huli does, is a means to really understand something that is somewhat abstract, and using just black and white data and gamifying that and creating these systems of interaction.
Yeah, but also it also provides new access for other places. Like, for example, leadership classes like student government could now use this to give more understanding for like the student leaders, and give them like more talking points for them to tell their classes or even their friends, be like, well, you want to play this game with me so you can understand it a little bit more, and it ain't shooting the message. It's just, you want to play this game with me.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Thank you for that. So this is by the post. I'm not going to say the URL again, but all the links will be in the comment or in the description section for your pleasure. All right. Oh, Jack, this is one
Mr.
that you
V.
picked. This is one that you picked here.
No. One thing I want to say is that stop. I will take the next one out personally if I see it. Okay.
So this is a beautiful game called. Well, so this is okay. All right, take a step back here. So ScreenRant.com, a dating sim for senior citizens, is now out on PC and Switch. It's called Later Daters. It's a dating sim set in a retirement home, and the first season's out. What is your thoughts here, Jack?
3 episodes. That's the ban, okay, from any other games like this, okay?
I'm not sure what you're saying, but okay.
Unless it's the only thing. Okay, but otherwise, it's a great game, man. I like the art style of it, and the passion is there for this game, and you could obviously see it. And the trailer obviously gives you more understanding to the communities of like LGBTQ and all of these like more stories around like the lives through romance, like the difficulties of having a relationship, like being LGBTQ or going out for the first time could vary, but the fact that they're trying to make it into a game is very commendable. It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I probably wouldn't be playing this as well. But I think the point of our show is to be a launching platform for these obscure out there games, and this is definitely falls within that wheelhouse.
True.
Right, but
yeah.
So what? Just to go back on what you were saying. So yes, like I mentioned, this is a dating simulator for senior citizens. So like at surface level, you're like, what? Which is cool though. I mean, again, part of why we do this show as well is to showcase the broad range of where games can go, whether it's a GIS game, a solo adventure game, or a senior citizen dating simulator. But one of the interesting things that they took, and this is right from the article, is Later Daters features a handful of romanticable senior citizens of a variety of backgrounds, and promises LGBTQ plus inclusive stories, which is what you kind of touched on, but also options for polyamorous romance. So it's clear to see that Bloom Digital Media has taken steps to create an inclusive an experience for as many people as possible. And it seems that stories they're telling in Later Daters are neither chaste nor trying to paint their characters as complex human beings with a variety of needs and desires, which is really refreshing. So That's all I'm gonna say about that.
That's what polyamory is?
Polyamorous means that you are in a relationship with multiple partners.
Yeah, just
Poly, many, right? So yeah, so you have 4 wives, or one wife could have like 4 husbands, or which seems exhausting if you ask me. But
yeah.
All right, so let's.
I have 6 sisters. I don't know how you want to have 6 girls. Like, honestly, but I mean, I'm not saying it's not gonna be fun and all, but still.
Oh, all right. Let's turn the page on this article. So that is by thescreenrant.com. Dating Sim for Senior Citizens is out now on Switch and PC, season 1 or something like that, right? All right. Okay. Next one. Are you okay, Jack?
Sorry.
All right. He's jumping up and down, guys. The best games developed by a single person by PCI Invasion. This is PCinvasion.com. Jack.
The tone. Oh, sorry.
Oh, hello. All right.
Hey. So yeah, I overall this article showcase like the dream for a lot of indie developers. Like, they want to hit this type of level, like Blue Hill Bounties, Undertale. These games went in for because of the passion of the game developer, and came out as like true, like almost like legends now. Like, people are now striving to become that now.
Yeah.
But we also need to under for every Papers, Please. There's like over 10,000 more games that won't see the daylight as this, that has game developers that went into the work and did what they did, but just didn't get the recognition of. And so it is great that they have a diverse list of indie games, because it showcases like they really try to show that there is more gaming out there than just these AAA gaming and B companies. And so it's honestly good, but at the same time, I'm just hoping that like a lot of these games will allow more and more games, like how we are seeing with right now. More and more people is now going into indie scenes and supporting them. But as much as people come in and as much game developers push out, there's still going to be a whole disconnect. Because not all of us will make it. Not all of us will have a publisher. And not all of us will find stability. But otherwise, and going back to the article, basically giving brief descriptions. Undertale you should buy, but maybe biased, but just like you should buy Undertale. Just buy it. Play it, buy it, love it, have a nice day.
Right. Okay. So there's a few things to unpack. One is, you're looking at the fine examples. I mean, especially Stardew Valley, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at labor of loves that have taken a tremendous amount of time. I mean, creating games all by yourself and having the courage and perseverance to continue on is such an ordeal when you don't have people to lean on. And we are looking at the, one could argue, the finest examples of what it is to make a game all by yourself, right? I mean, this Paper Please is in here as well. We've got Braid, Jonathan Blow's, Blockbuster and Axiom Verge, the Metrovania game. So these are great examples. But to just underline something that you have said is, for every one of these games, there's hundreds of other games that are not being seen right now. And another thing that you said to tack onto that is the need to continue to make something, not knowing that it will get the spotlight that something like Boot Hill Bounties might not get. But as an artist, you cannot not make that game, right? Right? You know, going to work every day and, you know, supporting your artistic endeavors. Without those artistic endeavors, your life is somewhat complete. As a quick aside, I think must have been 5 years now when I went to GDC. We brought a couple of students up from Nanakuli High School, and we went to the Independent Game Awards. It was on a Wednesday night. And these guys that were coming up and winning awards, they were just, you know, they were in tears, not because of the recognition, purely on recognition, but because of the struggles that they went through, that their loved ones, you know, supported them. They weren't working at the time. They put everything, they bet all their chips on this game. And the fact that people shared their passion and enjoyed the game meant everything to them. And dude, I was like, I was with these, these high school bratas, right? They're all, and even they were kind of like, just meeting like these very tough-looking high school students, trying to be all macho and cool, and they were like, putting their head down, and, rubbing their eyes and things like that. But yeah, so I wanted to put this in here. I mean, of course, if you're listening to this show, you probably know about these games, but I wanted to also to talk about the subject which we did about solo game creation.
Yeah, and in all honesty, if you build a game by yourself, even if it sucks, you like mechanically, I built a game and it sucked, like honest to God. But if you build a game by yourself, you already show a level of mastery and commitment to the form. Well, you're gonna take on a big project, and you may falter, but the fact that you take it on is a commendable. It's like passing through several steps. So
well said. Whoo!
Yeah.
Damn. All right.
Because as much as we have that displacement of for every one game get popular, there's 100 games that don't. For every one game developer that goes into the industry, probably a heck of a lot more don't.
All right.
Because of that.
Yeah, let's turn the page on this one. Let's leave on that. That was well said, sir. So PC Invasion, the best games developed by a single person. All right. Next one is by themedium.com, and this is board games offer connection and friendly competition. And this is a very light article, but I put this in here not just to showcase these games that are here, but to open a discussion with you, Jack, on how you felt about board games offer connection and friendly competition in contrast to video games?
I say both. They both offer that. You cannot deny that video games have that more, but board games does have that. For example, a lot of these games that they mention on here, they have to the branding of ASIC. These games focus on the competitive nature of it, of like you fighting against your friends or family even. And one of the games that is not on here because it's made from pretty big publisher, but actually helped me connect with my family even more and managed to get them into Star Wars back, is actually X-Wing, Star Wars X-Wing. And so in that game, you're playing as either the Rebels, the Imperials, as a squadron of sorts, and you're fighting against another player or 2 or 3 other players and trying to win and overcome the odds. So in that game, I often go up against 4-1 since I know most of the strategies, and so that means they will have more squadrons. So going to having those, competitions will bring out more connection to it, because it will be like, no, you can't kill Darth Vader. Darth Vader is impossible. Well, I shot him. He's dead now. Like, those type of conversations you wouldn't have. And that relates to video games in, well, no, I shot you with this breakthrough, and so that means I get to kill you. But you miss, and so that means I get to kill you. Those types of games, those types of things and memories I fondly have will never be replicated unless it's in that same type of environment. So yeah.
Yeah. Until recently, I would have argued that video games are mostly a heap of dumpster fire. No. I mean, I've seen some very positive community things happening in video games, sure, but you can't get away with things that you could in a video game in the tabletop space, because you're not going to invite these jerks to play with you, right? Whereas, you do have some controls in some sense of who you can invite in party, but oftentimes you'll play a video game and you have no control who's jumping in, to if it's a transcontinental or trans-worldwide gaming event. You're just going to have people jumping in, and the game developers will put in things and you can mute people and whatnot. But for forever and a day, there's just been it's just been a giant steam dump of a dumpster fire. However, I've experienced some just recently in this whole coronavirus pandemic thing, digital communities getting together and offering very friendly connection and competition. Things like Animal Crossing, how people come into your town and share things, the whole cataloging system, and there definitely is issues as well, people stealing items and whatnot. But for the most part, people are generally really, really nice, and they are part of a community, and as active members of a community, you either have to not to sound like a communist or anything, but there's these established norms, right, that you have to align yourself with, and these are just common norms. These are the same things that are in board games. Jean Piaget, he talked about, one of the big things that he talked about was the magic circle. So when we are engaged in a game, everyone is in this magic circle, and there's established norms that everyone has to obey by, that has to obey by, or they get outcasted, right? If I'm playing, if it's my turn, you don't interrupt, all this other kind of things. Don't be a beep, right? Don't rush players, all these other kind of things of etiquette. So I completely agree with, I think, what you were saying, that it's really, it goes both ways. You can have jerks in tabletop, you can have jerks in video games, you can have awesome people in tabletop, you can have awesome people in digital. You're absolutely right.
And it's also depending on the communities also, because, like, for example, Halo is an open community, but it's also a closed community. You will have to get past a lot of the trash talkers in order to feel more accepted into the community, unlike Animal Crossing. But once you get in, it will be like Animal Crossing. So it's determined by, in all naturally, what type of games you play. I play more like of those strategy games like X-Wing and Halo, so I fit in more into those close-knit bonds and get through all of the crazy trash talkers because they can't play the game. That's how their communities work. Unlike in Animal Crossing, like how Mr. V was saying, or Jeff Veia, basically those communities are more open right off the back.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you for that last ad. So this is Board Gaming Software Connection and Friendly Competition by themedium.com. All right, next article. BISD students test a video game platform, and this is one that you added, I believe. Jack, can you speak to it?
Mm-hmm. So, coming back on this whole idea of basically finding alternate ways of basically students overcoming this pandemic. Most likely, a lot of the schools, including in America, will get pushed back for probably indefinitely until the year is done. Most likely. And if not, then they're going to be pushed back till November or December. So colleges and schools all over the world is trying to figure out a way to continue education, but within these constraints. So which is kind of funny, is that BISD is one of the first guys who made esports very much thing in high school. And so it's kind of funny that they're doing this, because if anybody would have done this, they would have done this because they're leading. So, but the whole article is about their way of adding gamification into their school curriculums and stuff like that. And the fact that they're gamifying it more and more, even though this pandemic is happening, it's honestly like going back to an article we had on like how Assassin's Creed could be used for a game for history class, and it's like showing this in action. But
so, question for you: So that is Burleson ISD. Is that BISD?
Yes.
So what is BISD?
It's the school's name, honestly. So you know how they not include high and intermediate school?
Gotcha. Okay. Got it. Oh, I see. BISD students. Okay. Got it. Yeah, that's awesome, man. And as we're not able to fulfill that, I don't know, lack for a better term, that like Greco-Roman arena style of like spectating sports, like football, basketball, things like that, I would imagine that these companies, ESPN, for example, will start looking at esports more.
It's kind of funny if you really think about it, though. It's like a lot of, I remember fondly going to the esports club, and a lot of like the sports kids are like, well, this ain't gonna be a real sport anytime soon. And then now I'm like, oh, how the tables have turned, eh, lad? But honestly, like, if anybody has the credibility to do it, especially during this time, it will be the guys who will have made esports a thing in high schools. And once we get the same height as they did for esports with gamification throughout their school, we're gonna see changes not just in high schools but college in general.
Yeah.
Because sorry.
No. I was just gonna say, there's really a lot of positive things happening because of this coronavirus. I mean, there's definitely, without saying, there's some bad stuff going on, but there's a lot of really good that's happening because of this situation that everyone is, like we mentioned before, my friend Salomino said, we're on timeout, right? Humans, you bad, you go on timeout. And, and it's allowing the earth to kind of regenerate at certain parts, and things that were hurting, definitely not just the environmental things, but like hurting the economy, now are like put on pause. We're able to kind of look at things objectively of what's happening. So do we really need football? Sorry.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Yes.
Sure, man. All right. You were going to say?
We need the two footballs, the European and the American, or at least one, because if not, then I'm going to die.
All right, that stuff just puts me to sleep, though. But okay.
Okay, but otherwise, now I can't. Now I couldn't think about football now. Thanks, okay. Mr. V.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, but gamification in general has been seen as like Like we even did talks on it like in Michigan, like saying you guys should try to do more gamification, and the fact that it's now being
Implemented?
I cannot go. Yes, yes, yes. I
Okay,
cannot
man.
do grammar. It's I didn't have any hot chocolate. Okay, guys. So, but yeah, it's inevitable at this point. I don't want to sound like Thanos or stuff like that, but because of like all of this great tragedy, it's bringing great change for better or worse. So we could either adapt to it or we could get dusted. That's our two options at this point in actuality.
All right. So that is by Kleb. Oh my gosh. Klebernet Times. Klebernet Times Review.com and BISD Students Test Video Game Platform. All right, next article. This is another really good one that Jack discovered. And this is from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Penn Relays enter esports world with gaming event on Minecraft built Franklin Phil. This is awesome, Jack. Really good find. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this one?
So this is relating to the prior article, how gamification and esports will eventually evolve things. This is another great one because it's showcasing both the creativity of the athletes and also the determination of them by allowing them to compete even though it's in a different format. And even though this is a different format and it still produce different challenges for these athletes. For example, the very first thing you will see as like a screenshot is that they added obstacles throughout. I'm not too sure if that's included in the race, but a lot of these obstacles, unless you have been practicing on Minecraft to do it, it's actually pretty challenging to compete, like competitively now. And so the fact that they've been able to do this is honestly commendable off the back to both like the developers of Minecraft, but also to the guy who actually made the field, or guys or people. Not too sure who made the field, but yeah.
This is so cool. Just going through the article here. Yeah, it's this is awesome. This is exactly what we're talking about, man. Right? Taking a really bad situation, turning it around. And I mean, they could even use like haptic stuff to actually have them kind of run and jump and things like that if they really wanted to. If funding, I mean, it's Penn State. I'm sure they got the money for that. But yeah, man, awesome find. Like this is exactly what we like to showcase here.
But one other thing is that they allow the field to change. So, like for example, the second picture you may come across in this article showcasing another version of the field that they had and they couldn't had if they had it in IRL. So basically they won't have snow, they won't have skates, but because because it's in a game where it allows you to be creative and do whatever you want, they now have the option to do so. So yeah.
All right, yeah, very cool. That is by the Philadelphia Inquirer. Penn Relays enter esports world with gaming event on Minecraft built Franklin Film. That was a really cool one. All right, we're up to our final article here, and this one, yeah, you can take a guess who found this one. And this one is video game does the same things to your brain as magic mushrooms. And of course, I don't know anything about magic mushrooms or what the effects would be. And this is by the happymag.tv. This is about a game called Sound Self, a technodelic. Your thoughts, Jack?
Hey, Mr. Man, Mr. Officer. No, that's a local song. If you get it, you get it. If you don't worry.
That is like the best quote ever. All right. Your thoughts on this, sir?
Okay, I have family who requires a lot of the other means to get back because of the PTSD and the VA not helping them, and that's a reality that a lot of veterans and stuff like that is facing right now. Is that they're coming back from the military. They don't even have to go to combat. They're just coming out of the military, and they want to kill themselves for deciding to leave the military. And so the VA, especially in California and in the western states, has been trying to get away from a lot of the prescribed medicines, because a lot of the western medication, that we like to call it, actually does a lot more harm than good. So going into these magical mushrooms will actually be a benefit than a cause. But seeing as it still is very illegal, they're still trying to figure out ways to understand and how to help veterans cope with this. One way is by gamification. And so even though this game is not sponsored by the VA or sponsored by the military, it will help veterans a lot more than a lot of people will actually suspect or even acknowledge, because this will allow them to comfort themselves in a safe environment. They don't have to play a Call of Duty game and get triggered by all of the events that could trigger them, like throwing a grenade. On boot camp training, they will make you count grenades. At least pile. Now they just make you throw a grenade. But throwing a grenade, if you do it wrong, you don't have a hand or you don't have a life. So those situations are everyday occurrences. But this will also help in other fields, for example, like suicide, depression in general, like in teens and stuff like that, or even in game developers. So a lot of games that's going into this whole like madness or going into more meditations, I personally endorse. No matter how bad it is or how good it is, I will endorse it, because if it allows you to get out of those like states, out of those minds, then it does its job. So yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yes. So on a more serious note, you're 100%. I 100% agree with you. In all seriousness, we do know that psilocybin is being used right now in, I think, third stage trials by Johns Hopkins, and really looking at its use in cancer patients, and just like you said, PTSD, soldiers returning back, from just the most traumatic experiences, and then have to then go live in a home with their wife, where the kid slams the door accidentally, and then they flip out, and just all this kind of mental baggage, right, or traumatic baggage that they come back with, and we have these substances that can help them, deal with things like that. And we're not just talking about, using this as like a party enhancer. These are these powerful compounds that can be used, right, to help people. So why not use it? So yes. And thus this game having, the Sound Self game having this similar effect. And I haven't tried. I actually have an HTC Vive, and I should plug, but it just takes so much room to plug up. Like I said, it just takes so long to set the whole thing up and tear it down and take it apart. But I would love to try this and see what kind of, how transformative of an experience it is. But I stand right next to you in terms with supporting games that explore this kind of space. I was listening to a podcast a couple of days ago, and they were talking about mental trauma, and when you go into, or just mental instability, when you go in to get treatment, they give you this survey, right? And that's how they diagnose, what kind of, what is it, DISM or whatever it is, what type of mental issue you have. They give you a survey. They don't take your temperature. They don't take your blood. They don't use any of those kind of markers or indicators. They give you a survey. So what if you're having a bad day, right? Mm-hmm. You go and you take the survey, are you anxious? Yeah, I guess. I mean, this is my first time here. What does that even mean? 1 to 5, are you anxious? So, I think technology can be used, right, as means to collect data and things like that, right? Kind of like what Apple is using with health monitoring and things like that. We could definitely use things like this. Jack, sorry, go right ahead.
So, going off of that survey, they're not fun at all. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that ad. But yeah, so I am really interested in trying this game out and see what comes out of it. Maybe I develop superpowers like Spider-Man. We shall see. That is the video game does the same things to your brain as magic mushrooms on happymag.tv. And that is the last article of the day. We have a question. So we selected one question.
And I need your help explaining the question if I understand the question correctly. So could you explain it?
Yep. So what is your desert island game? So a game that you would take with you if you're stranded on a desert island or I guess locked in your home in isolation. What would be the one game that you would have? I guess video or board game. This is by Marshall, and you didn't really say either a board game or digital game. Of course, mine would be I would still say. Do you want me to go first on this one, Jack?
Yeah, go first.
Okay. So mine would obviously be Kingdom Death Monster. What a surprise. I'm not going to go into my KDM rant. I love everything about the game. It's my favorite game. I could play it every day and every day. If my apartment burned down, before saving my wife, I would run into my room and grab my KDM and then save my wife. I love the game so much. All right, Jack, what would your desert island game be?
Okay, I took it as it could be anything as long as it's considered a game of some sort.
Sure.
So I have to say airsofting. Because of the fact that it allows me to create in real life. Basically, I'm playing with my brothers/cousins throughout the day, and even if for example the barrier style or stuff like that, I could still use the airsoft equipment for other things than just airsofting. So yeah, I will, even though I want to say it's a game. Yeah. Interesting.
Well, airsoft, I was really hardcore into airsoft for a very long time as well. But that's interesting that you would pick airsoft. I think that speaks a lot to things that you like subconsciously, that you would pick airsoft over other games. That's neat. And it's versatile enough to where you can kind of change it up too, right? Yeah.
Basically.
All right.
It could be different games any day.
Yeah,
you could role play and stuff.
Yeah, it's like bringing, I don't know, dice or something like that, right? You can use dice or so many different ways. Okay, that is going to do it. Where can they send us email to, Jack?
Okay, you could send us the emails at the kgb.gov. Russia is number one. Just kidding. You could send us the email at dailykaptors@gmail.com. Did I mess it up again? I messed it up again.
No. Okay. You know, there is software out there that is constantly crawling and looking for things like KGB being mentioned over and over again. Okay, yeah. I appreciate you continue to associate our podcast with the military state and KGB, because that's clearly what we're trying to talk about here. Yes, so our email is theboardstate@gmail.com. Again, that is theboardstate@gmail.com. Not affiliated with any military regimes, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for that. Any closing comments, Shaq?
If you want to support us, you could do so by going on the dailycrafters.com and buying our merch. Our merch includes several games. Please help support us. We have families to feed and they're very, very big.
Wow, okay. We have one game for sale on our site right now. The other one isn't for sale. Or the other is, because I think I have, there should be 10 games on there, I think, that are actually completed, but only the depressing game is available for sale. But yeah, thank you for mentioning that, Jack. And yes, we have some families to feed. All right, that's going to do it. Thank you for listening.